because you have finished the work you started in me. I'm not what I will be, but what I am because you helped me to understand that it's because of your love.
But the thing is, so this is what we do. We teach about relationship, and please don't be shy. Ask any question at all. Any question. No bars hold. Amen. Any question at all, ask, and you know, by God's grace, you'll get your answers. Amen. I don't want you to feel like maybe I'm new here, or maybe if I say this, no. The answers help a lot, because in the course of maybe trying to explain, you know, the answers, people, you know, will get certain things that otherwise they wouldn't have got. Amen. I think you guys have to help Jay to get a journal, because he's always writing on pieces of paper. Anyway, so thank you, T. Appreciate it. Last time we talked about never use, you know, we're talking about how to handle confrontation in relationship, and it is something that is quite not natural all the time. You know, you may have disagreements and things like that. Then the other day I was saying that welcome what? Friction. What did I say? Welcome friction. Never see friction in relationship. You know, friction doesn't have to make you enemies. Are you understanding me? Friction does not or mustn't become or something that resides in the relationship, and then you end up as what? Enemies. There will be friction is more to do with what? Disagreements. Right? You may disagree with maybe the way the man talked to you or the lady talked to you. Right? And it all the time, it is something to do with your what? Your because the thing is, if you meet somebody and then you become friends and you know, get into a relationship, the only side that you know about each other, you don't even know your personalities. You don't know that person's, you know, the woman's personality. Oh, she's a pleasant, nice looking lady. Fine. But you don't know her personality. You don't know her experiences over the years that have shaped her personality and her perspective in life. You don't know. Oh, she dresses well, she's cute, she's, you know, she's smart, she's funny, you know, and oh, he's nice, you know, I can't wait to see him, he's this, you know, he looks like Pastor. Fine.
Wow.
His pastor look alike. So you I have to use my cute, amen. So I have to use myself on the Sunday. So you see, so but the person has what? That individual has a personality, right? Friction is always you getting to know and how you'll be able to adjust, to integrate, and to what? To blend and to move on. So the fact that maybe you disagree with the way he talked, hey, the man has been talking like that maybe 25 years before he met you. Are you understanding me? Mm-hmm. So don't say, well, I hate the way you talk. He's to learn from you how to talk properly. I don't like the way maybe he has room to learn. As iron sharpens iron. So you are in at this time of the relationship, as you are courting and things like that, you are helping him. You are the mirror that he sees himself and his deficiencies and his imperfections that, you know, he's shaping up. You know, there's a brother in one church that I know who, I mean, when you meet him and his fiancée, the lady dresses so well. And he was telling me when they met, she didn't know how to dress. So she would tell her, you know, do this. And the girl was not even going to school, right? The guy encouraged her. Now she's in college and she's dressing. When you see her, she's like a model. And it was the guy who actually taught her how to dress. And he's happy. When he sees his lady dressed like that and she's smiling, hey, And he said, hey, I did it, you know. So, well, you are not the girl I'm talking about. Actually, the lady appreciates what the guy did. Yeah. So, this is what? It's a moment of sharing and learning. But some of you can stretch little things and make it into, you know, making a mountain out of a molehill, out of nothing. Maybe a small issue, you want to make it, you know, so huge. You see? So at this level, you have disagreements. And that is why we have to what? Deal with this issue. And so we talked about never use the silent language, because sometimes when some of you hit a snap, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to you, I'm going to the North Pole, you to go to the South Pole.
That's kind of good though, because I mean, some people, they don't have nothing positive to say. So it's good. Silent treatment is good at times.
But that's bringing like a negative atmosphere, you know, just being silent.
You know, I can't hear you. She's speaking
no,
loud.
I'm saying, no, she's saying it's good, but I'm saying it could also bring like a negative.
Can you hold on? Can you tell me what is the virtue in silent treatment? Just give me.
Okay, the Bible says. Okay, I'm talking about in general.
That you give me some positivity.
The Bible says the best answer to a fool is silence. You might be talking to a fool.
Oh.
Yeah, and silence is the best answer.
So the guy is a fool already.
I said in general. No, maybe I'm not talking about just guys.
Okay, maybe like they're going through like a little argument.
What makes him a fool? Wait, before you go there, what foolish thing did a person do to look at?
I'm talking about in general. You're making me be specific with this.
No. I'm talking about just what? Maybe a friction, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Maybe and guys can be, you know, we are going on the date, we're going to watch a movie, you know, and there's a guy maybe who's not time conscious, right? He takes his time, maybe he has to cut, he was watching basketball, okay, and then he comes late, and you are upset, I'm not going anymore, right? Oh babe, I'm begging you, please forgive me, you know, I've told you, and you have told him a number of times, right? He still comes late. You see, these are some of them. For me, it is what? It may be a big deal to you, but it is something that you can work around. There are so many ways. So I'm talking about minute things like that. Are you understanding me? Or maybe, because listen, when you meet a person, right, that person has lived his life in a certain way. Both of you are independent people. You have to understand. Right? An independent woman, an independent guy. You have lived your lives before you came together. I don't think 1 year, 2 years, you can change him overnight. Or you can correct everything overnight. You can't. They say, all habits. Will you stop showing your wealth and listen to what I'm saying? I'm on camera too, I'm sorry.
I got it all.
Okay. She's displaying her wealth over there. Blot it out for me.
I will.
You see, so all habits die hard, right? There are some things it takes time to be able to change. But I think Rose, that is severe.
No, I'm not talking about that. That's being, is that what I'm just quoting the Bible.
No, bro.
I am, but I'm not talking about, you're talking about that's being catty. If they're late, you know you're with a late person, get over it. But I'm talking about, like, if you're talking to somebody who likes to argue a lot, stuff that doesn't really matter, the world is not going to end if, you know, you leave it where it's at, and they just want to argue and argue and argue. The best answer is silence. Right?
I don't think that can help.
Can I get everybody's input here?
I think that it depends. I think like if you're in an argument and like you guys go your own ways to cool down, then come back and talk about it. Okay, I don't know if she meant like just going over separately.
We have talked about argument here. How do you diffuse argument? What is argument?
Try not to get in it.
It's okay.
We've talked about argument. How do you diffuse argument? The point is like, hey, you need each other, right?
Yeah.
You are madly in love. So not argument notwithstanding, you still want to get together. But how do you handle this issue of argument? told you about other ways we dealt about this. There were so many things that we talked about. Rose is taking us back, but it's good. You know, so many ways that we can do to diffuse that tension.
Listening to what each other is saying.
Because argument, you are not actually talking. When you are having a civil discussion, you are speaking with or talking to. Argument, you are talking at. You are speaking about. You can be all that kind of, hypersensitive and go up. I don't know how many decibels. You see, but nobody is hearing you. A gentle answer turns away strife. So what do? I told you that where anytime you are having these things, the thing is, the man is your man, the woman is your woman, right? Maybe you gauge your time and moment to bring the issue up in a more civil way. You can yell, you say the same thing. But if you take your time, when both, maybe you are in school, maybe both of you are okay, you say, okay, can I tell you, can I be honest with you about something? Yeah. Anyway, Charlie, I love you very much, but that day, the thing that you were, I was really, really hurt. Maybe if, we could have talked about it in a different way. You see, no man or woman will flip and do somersault if you talk to him or her that way. Right? When you do that, you say, okay, hey, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what my head was. I'm sorry. Let's not even talk about it. I'm sorry, I admit. Let's move on. You don't have argument. Because one thing is this. When you argue a lot, what you end up doing is that there are certain things you need to work on before you guys move in together to be a couple and to build your family. And you will never, because anything, when it comes to major critical decisions, you will never be able to sit down together to talk. Because you know that this is a hard spot. It's going to create argument. So I'm not going to talk about it. So you sweep it under the carpet. And there are so many relationships like that. There are things you should have dealt with when you were courting that you never had a chance to do. You kind of sweep it and you think it will go away. No, it will never go away. It will come back again. But since you have not mastered the art and the science of making sure that you handle these issues in this way, in a civil way, so that there's, no argument, no rancor, no fighting, no recriminations, those kind of things. And all the time, let me also say something that is very important. Usually, when people argue, is this. In relationships, some people, it's like they are in a race to win. I must win all the time. It has to be my way all the time. If you have that attitude, then you have a serious problem. Because the thing is, we race with who? Just the two of you. You are drawing up your goals, you are drawing up your plans, you are planning a future. You are not in to compete, you are in to complement. So if the guy loses, the woman loses. If the woman loses, the guy loses. Because the relationship loses. Nobody wins. Some people have this mindset, it's like my way or the highway. So all the time competition. I went to, some guys invited me to a Thanksgiving somewhere in Orange County, that was some while ago. And this guy and his wife, it was like, they were playing some game. I was even embarrassed. The guy was so competing with the wife, he wanted to. Immediately I went there, and some people say, that's how he is. He always has to win. He always must win. You see, I have said that the woman completes the man, and the man fulfills the woman. That is God's order in a relationship. Of course, when even you come across crisis like that, and don't be fooled. There's nothing like getting in and there's marriage made from heaven. Well, all marriages are from heaven, but you have to deal with some things, right? Yeah. You have to deal with some things because it was made from heaven, but the man was made from dirt, from the ground. Sanctified with the blood of Jesus, though. Amen. But we still live on earth here. So you have to, please listen, you have to have civil discussions instead of arguments. And learn to say, I'm sorry when you are sorry. That sorry will not kill you. Period. Some people, sorry is never their vocabulary. And some people too, when you tell them sorry, they still want to insist, I'm right. And hey, you can't beat a dead horse. And others too can't let a matter die off. They always want to bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. You know, that is one thing, and I want to place myself in the middle. Please, I'm telling you this, if your behavior is like that, you always have problems. If a person is at fault, talking about it is not going to correct the fault. It will create more faults and more mistakes. If the person is at fault, hey, it is what is done cannot be undone, right? That is Shakespearean philosophy. So what do? You correct it and move on and make sure that it never happens again. Talking about it and talking and fighting and arguing about it is not going to change anything. Have I answered your questions? To move on?
Yes, you have.
Right? So I like what you are saying that the Bible, but the thing is, with all due respect, it is not in an applicable reference from the Bible, because the Bible actually gave what? The person that you should ignore. It says a fool if a person is acting foolish and things like that. You know, and sometimes some people can act in an indecent way. Ignore them for the time that they are in that kind of mood, right? And then later on, when they come to their senses, you talk to them. You read 1 Samuel chapter 25, Abigail and her husband Nabal, right? When Nabal was drinking and partying and doing, you know, the lady didn't tell him anything until the next day when he was sober. That's why they say David came to kill you, because you had the audacity to, you know, to say those things to David's servants. You see, so that is another way of doing it. Okay. Can I move on? I think there was time. Okay. So the things that we have talked about so far about how to handle confrontations, our class is like that. Get used to it, right? If you have any questions. Number one, say never use the silent treatment. We talked about it. Never use lies to cover up shortcomings. You know, and many people will do that. And I told you, if you lie once, you always have to lie to keep the first lie. So all the time you are manufacturing lies. And in the end, your lies will find you out. So you better don't get in-laws or friends involved right away. We talked about it last week. And this is very, very important. Please, when you are starting a relationship, it is like making what? Sausages, right? Don't quickly go and tell, oh, look at what the guy is doing. Look at what, you know. Hey, they will tell you to dump you. Yes. Because, yes, they will dump you. He's a jerk. You know, people are quick. Oh, he's a jerk. Just dump him. You see? But you have to understand that, you know, you're human. You are prone to what? To make mistakes. The best of you, you see, and some of you, and there are certain excellent and awesome potentials in some of you that you don't even think you have. The best of you comes out when you are back against Anybody, you see, that's why they say necessity is the mother of invention, right? When people are back to some tight corner, that's why the best of their ingenuity, the best of their wisdom, the best of their courage, the best of their confidence come out. God will not bring a man or a woman to you that he thinks that God doesn't know that you are well capable of handling that individual. Whoever God brings your way, God knows that you can handle that person. And that I've said it, please listen. The woman completes the man. So if a man comes to you raw and he has certain deficiencies, that doesn't mean go and get a bullhorn and tell the whole world, oh, this guy did this, hey, you know. And then what? Because it's your job to complete it. And also the man shouldn't tell his friends, because sometimes when you're hanging out with your boys, that's why you want to, hey man, that's your new girlfriend. Man, I want to, you know, I'm getting tired of her. You see, respect should be mutual. And if you respect somebody, you don't even air hot your dirty linen in public. It is something that it is your place to handle it. So don't be quick to be telling people small thing that you call your man, small thing you call your friend, you know, and some of your friends that you are talking to, they are not in a relationship. So they have the experience of how are they going to advise you. If they have even someone, they don't even have someone who is seriously committed to you. And those are the people you are going to call for advice. It's like watching, you know, sometimes you watch Maury, right? Maury, this guy. Is it Maury?
Yeah, Maury.
Maury
show.
Maury show, right?
Yeah.
People bring their problems there. And the audience, oh, dumplings. You see, it is, listen, some of the things that are going there, they are not pretty, right? They are not pretty. But you cannot just see someone, you don't even know the person. You don't even know how much they were involved. You don't know how much they are invested in each other. Oh, let him go. Like, you can pick a good guy on the street, right? Or a good woman on the street. There's a tree that grows through a tree. Good women and men. No. I have told you that when you pray for your ideal man or ideal woman, God will give you a person who have what? Maybe a fraction of the qualities that you are looking for. But the rest you have to work to build in that individual. Oh yeah. It's like you are nursing your child, right? To grow him. The rest you have to do that. So God will give you the ideal man. He's a Christian. But he can be a Christian who doesn't keep his room neat. You bring his dirty shoes and put it under the bed. Leave the socks next by the pillow. And it's not a big deal to him. Oh yeah. And he's a good Christian brother. He prays in tongues. Oh, Elijah brother, but yes.
Yeah, what if it's the other way around? If the girl doesn't know how to cook, if the girl doesn't know, no, seriously.
Let the brother talk.
A girl that takes 30
No,
Why are you attacking me?
I know.
Brother, you know, just take. Do you guys know how to cook? Show of hand, how many who knows how to cook?
I know how to cook for myself.
If you don't know how to cook, then if you know how to cook, why are you
attacking me? Why are you attacking me?
Really?
So
let him finish. No, let him finish, please.
Okay, so what if it's the other way around? Where you get a girl, she's good, she's nice and everything, but there's just one thing she doesn't know how, is to cook. She doesn't know how to cook. So, I mean, I know it could be a problem, but how would you help her to get to know how to cook?
different.
Thank
I heard cooking.
Because I know you said earlier, don't get your parents involved.
So you tell your mom she doesn't know how to cook.
So I mean, I'm just asking.
Brother, I had your back till this time. I had your back all along, but not this time. You call mom, she doesn't know how to cook.
It's over.
So how do you eat? Well, I cook. No. You don't need a woman who doesn't know how to cook. You see, one thing is this. You know, we have to also be mindful of the age and the time and the culture that we live in. You know, I've told you that times are evolving. Unlike some of us, you know, my parents, for instance, my father was working, my mother never worked. You know, she later on was doing her own business, running a small store and things like that. You know, but my father was a businessman and things like that. So mom was home with us all the time, cooking and doing those kind of things. When you grow up as a man, you kind of, that is the model that you have, right? You want to be like that, and also your wife to be like your man. You know, like I say, every man's first crush is his mother, and every woman's first crush is her dad. All things being equal. You see, I say all things being equal.
I know you said
that. So, usually, that is the model that you have. So you want to have it in your home, that your woman at least will cook. But the thing is, you know, we also live in a different, you know, generation and things like that. That most women, you know, this is a millennial age where most women, you know, you see the statistics, the women go to school more than the men, you know. So you tend to have maybe a wife who's maybe a CEO, you know. She may be a cook, but not having your mother's skills of cooking, but appreciably, you know, she knows how to put a thing or two together. It may not match your mother's, right? Mm-hmm. But she knows a little thing, you know, the basic minimum. And maybe the man knows how to cook. Because the thing is, you're also aware that being a single man, you have been doing things on your own, or maybe you learn a lot, you know. Like, you know, I didn't have many sisters, so my mother, you know, talking about myself, made sure that he taught us, the boys, how to cook and things like that. So you know, my sisters were the firstborn, so they grew up and left them. So it was us who were sharing and doing this thing. So some of you may have kind of benefited, you know. In this culture, you know, it is not a big deal if a guy, because you go to restaurants, it's the chefs are Muslim men who cook, you know. So it is like that. But the thing is, some of you ladies may meet someone who's maybe traditional minded, you know, or come from a traditional background, where in the custom and the culture, it is the woman who must cook. So these things that you have to factor in, at least cooking is not a big deal. This is, at the end, it is food, right? That the family will eat. Whoever cook it is food. Are you understanding? If the woman did it or the man did it, it's cool, right? But sometimes you have to be very, very, very wise, you know, especially when maybe your in-law is coming and things like that. You don't tell the man to cook. You want to prove to the in-law that, you know, you have the skills to do it, right? And sometimes too, it is a plus, especially when maybe you are courting or dating, right? That you can say, okay, hey, instead of going to the restaurant, I want to give a treat. And then you invite him over, you cook something sumptuously. After all, a way to a man's heart is through the stomach. So you missed a good opportunity to say, Amen. Amen. Jason, you give him food, you got him. So,
but you know,
Jay doesn't cook, so anybody who marries him, better be a good cook.
But nowadays, you know, since there's more stay-at-home dads and women are going to work and bringing home more money than men, the you know, it's been reversed. So guys,
Rosie, I don't want any gender war here. What is your statistics? That's
I'm just
the
saying.
involvement thing.
There is.
What statistics say that?
You can Google it or whatever you want to do, but you'll find it.
Rosie, please. The point is, don't listen to Rosie. She knows how to cook, so don't be fooled. She'll be cooking for her husband, So she knows how to cook. So don't listen. The thing is, listen to what I'm saying. It is more, it is appropriate. It is appropriate that, and sometimes what I was saying, I know you are an excellent cook. This brother can really bring it down when it comes to, yeah.
He's all right.
Fried rice and
Ask him.
fried rice and this thing, man, it's smooth. So the thing is, one thing you have to understand is hey, he has got the French background. The French people in their, they are very particular with their food, right? What they eat, the French cuisine is very legendary, So people with that kind of French, this thing, they got it, So that is it. So you can teach the woman, bring her to the kitchen, teach her, this is how you do the kitchen. There's a lady who one day bought, chicken, right? And she doesn't know how to cook that. I think last week I told you.
Yeah.
Doesn't know how to do that. The chicken, and, even the common rice, he didn't even know how to cook the rice.
Wow.
Became an embarrassment, So, but please don't sit down there and say, oh, I don't know how to cook, because you have to understand, you are going to be mothers and fathers, right? You don't want your children eating junk all the time, right? Factor in the sicknesses and things like that that are in. You see, some of these food, if you don't prepare it yourself, a lot of preservatives and things like that they put in can, trigger something in your child. And maybe your child is allergic to it, or the child can have some sickness and even the food, So maybe once in a while you can go out and eat, but it is very, very, very important that you learn to go buy your own vegetables and things like that, potatoes or whatever. Cook your own food. The meat is well done, well cooked or grilled or something like that, and it is healthy. You see, it is healthy so that you and your family can eat healthy. Are you getting this? Yeah. Instead of just going, dash to some 7-Eleven to go and buy some hot dogs and things like that, you don't know what it is. Or go and get a double whopper, and give to your son and, the soda and those kind of things. You have to be very careful because, it can create problems, right? Learn to cook and eat healthy, right? Healthy, and also you eat your fruits and your vegetables, which is very, very, because the fruits and the vegetables, the blended, encourage your husband to eat, because they contain what, when they are fresh, they have a lot of antioxidants in them, which helps because of cancer and things like that. It can, boost the person's immunity and things like that. Anyway, so I think that is it. Yes, Jean? Oh, okay. I thought that's all. So let me go to what I was saying before, Mr. So your point is well taken, right? Ladies, learn how to, if you don't know.
Why you have to make it specific on the ladies?
So it would be okay.
All the explanations that I gave.
I mean, now we should say, as a group, not ladies. Why you gotta point us out?
Learn their gender.
His question was for ladies. That's why I said I gave this.
Okay, for enough.
I gave tons of explanation. But I said, don't tell your mother. The girl doesn't know. The lady doesn't know how to cook. Right?
Okay.
And if your mother is coming to visit, then you have to homeschool her on how to cook.
Okay.
Tell your mom to give her some tips.
What if I didn't know how to cook?
Or take her to cooking classes.
What if I didn't know how to cook?
Take your mom to a restaurant.
What if you don't know how to cook?
No, what if I didn't know how to cook?
And she didn't.
If you have a girlfriend.
I think you know is very particular about food. I mean, how many? Which one of you is going to end up being his wife? You have to be careful because I cannot come and referee your. Then you better learn to know how to cook.
Answering them. Childhood.
You know, you like fufu.
I don't know how to cook that.
I can teach your woman when you come for marital counseling how to make some fufu and some soup for you, make you happy. The way to Ino's house is through the stomach. But I think he's speaking for all the men. You know, some of them, look at him. Look at Jake. Happy and laughing. And you know speaking for him. He can't talk. But so the point is a pastoral advice. Ladies learn to cook.
Amen. Yeah, man.
Andy, I think you concur, right?
I can cook.
Thank you, sir. Andy,
I sure don't cook.
You have to agree.
And God knows
chim
I'm
chim.
24/7.
Okay.
It's a chim chim maker. So.
Yeah, she makes that.
Chim chim breakfast, chim chim lunch.
And 7-Eleven hot wings.
Anyway, but please, seriously, all these things aside, you have to know at least how to put something together for your family.
Rice, fried rice. Make fried rice.
Fried rice, that's all you can do.
That's what
Fried rice, don't go to some Panda Express and get fried rice. I cook fried rice here. Anyway, but don't tell your mother, please. Guys, don't tell your mother she doesn't know how to cook. Otherwise,
I think that's on the same status as telling your husband's family or your family that your husband doesn't have a job, right? That would be on the same status.
Rosie!
Wait, what was the question?
Rosie!
No,
what was the
I'm
question?
saying that you said that women shouldn't tell or imagine.
No. Okay, thank you.
That would be like a female telling her family that
Listen to me. Listen to me. You see, you have to understand. Ideally, not everybody in your family will agree to your choice of a man or a woman. You have to understand. Some people think maybe they have the gift or the crystal ball, or they are the ones who are got the right to choose your man or your woman for you. Last week I told you that no pastor can choose for anybody. A pastor can what? Be a facilitator. Are you understanding me? Because I'm here, your spiritual father. I can see people with maybe, compatible, as compatible characters, compatible conducts and things like that. And I can maybe as your father, introduce you. But the rest is for you. If you find yourself agreeable, move on. If you don't, hey, take a hike. Right? But you also have to understand that not everybody in your family, especially if you're daddy's girl, if have you watched this movie? No. Is it Ben Stiles? Ben
Stiller? Ben Stiller?
Ben Stiller, yeah, Ben Stiller.
Meet the parents. No, not meet the
Meet the parents, yes.
No, meet the parents.
Meet the parents. You see, before this guy came to the picture, there were other people, and the father was, I think, a CIA guy, was spying on these guys, chasing every guy away. So sometimes there are some fathers who are like that. It's like their daughters, nobody is ever good enough for their girls. And maybe they are looking for somebody, maybe, especially maybe you come from a home where, the people pride themselves with certain things. they are high achievers, so they expect their in-laws to be also equal high achievers. And maybe the guy doesn't have what it takes like that. It's like they look down on him.
Because he was a nurse.
Yeah, the guy was a nurse.
Yeah.
And the man was like, what? A nurse for my daughter? You know? And I think even the nurse, he didn't pass his test or something like that. Or he was. So you see, and so they were like, not a nurse. You know, and so many things. That when the guy decided to go, that the man really saw that his daughter doesn't care and loves him for whoever he is, because it's not what he is, but the type of person that he is. That is what. Then he also had to do some things, use his influence to block even the aeroplane from taking off so that he can get him back. You know, you have to be sometimes very careful with some of these things. And please, as to the guy working, and you know, if he loses a job, right, it's not his fault that maybe, you know, unless maybe he did something bad, right? But some of these things you better learn to be tightly, because some things better stay between the two of you. Are you understanding me? Right? Some things better, yes.
So if you can't talk to your friends and you can't talk to your parents, who can you talk to? Jesus. I will throw my shoe at
you. No. Listen to me. I'm not saying don't talk to your parents or your friends at all. But certain things you have to be very discerning in knowing what you bring to them. Right? Like, you know, talk to them about him. You know, he's a great guy, he's this. How are things going? They are going great. You see? But there are some issues, maybe you have some differences, and then you rush. You know, well, he said this to me, and I'm not mad, and things like that. You have to understand. You know, some of these things may be very minor. You can work them just between the two of you. If everything gets out there, you are opening the door to your relationship for so many people to come in. A time will come, you realize that both of you, it kills communication. Because if the man is trying even to talk to you, being sincere, then you have to check with 10 people before you make up your mind. You need this one's approval, you need this one's approval, and by the time you go to everybody, including your hairdresser, most hairdressers are Americans. Women, most of the women, their hairdressers are there. They are counselors. Okay, so was that your boyfriend? And then what's he saying?
It's true.
And then you start spilling the beans. Hey, thank you. All men are dogs. Yeah. You see? You don't need such advice. I'm not saying don't talk to other people. But if you are to talk to people, you seek people who are married and have got stable marriages and are also Christians. This is what sometimes you do. You take somebody who's a Christian. Maybe, you know, some of the church people that you say they are solid Christians, you know, they are together. You don't go and talk to someone who, I'm not putting anybody down, maybe he's not in a relationship, or maybe he had a breakup and is bitter and angry, and you go to them for counseling. You end up like him or him. There are some men who walk around and think you can't trust any woman. And there are some women too who walk around and think all men cannot be, you cannot what, give your heart and soul to a man, because in the end he will hurt you. You see? So you have to be very discerning. When do you have to tell somebody? After maybe you have tried to work some things out and it didn't work. I said the first person you have to talk to is your pastor. You bring the issue to your pastor. He's the one who counseled you and married you. Pastor, this is what's going on. I've tried my hardest, is not listening. You see? And then I'll call him. And then we'll sit down. And then we'll talk. In the end, it gets resolved. Maybe some of the time, when we even come to the counseling, maybe the person who's wrong is the woman. The one who brought the case may be the one who's at fault.
I agree.
Oh, yes. Or sometimes it will be the man's fault. Are you understanding me? And then it can be, but the thing is, me, this is how I resolve issues. I don't resolve issues when it is in relationship to apportion blame. I come in to be what? A bridge builder. I don't come to apportion blame. Hey man, you are at fault and things like that. No. I come to find out where the problem is, resolve it, and tell you guys, hey, move on and get it done with. That is all. So in relationship, you are not what in competition to find who is a winner and who lost and who won. No. You all must win so that you will be able to move on. Am I making some sense here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it helpful?
Oh, yeah.
T, you seem confused.
I'm trying to decide whether I want to ask you a question or not.
Okay. Think
Wait,
about your recipe.
Okay. You know how like a person's together, then like they get a divorce and they marry someone else. Does that mean that that marriage is okay in God's eyes, or it's not okay because they're supposed to marry the first person, but they got divorced? Like, what does that mean?
T, what is this coming from?
I always wonder. I always wonder.
You are talking about marriage now. You are bringing divorce here. Nobody is divorced.
No, it's gonna be divorced. I'm just saying, like, is God okay with that marriage though, or like no? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the Bible gives instances. The Bible gives instances, right? Give instances, but something that I don't encourage and I forbid it from ever happening to any one of you. Because the Bible also says in Malachi chapter 2 verse 15 that God hates divorce. So I do not subscribe to it. But I know things do happen, right? Whereby maybe, you know, one person, the Bible says in 1 Corinthians, I think chapter 7, that if the unbelieving husband want to leave, or the unbelieving spouse want to leave, he can leave, right? Or maybe there are people who didn't know the Lord before, and they were in the world, and they divorced. And then they came, you know, one came to the church. He was divorced before he came to the church. And then met somebody, and then married. That one is acceptable, you know. But the thing is, if you are in the church and you are having crisis and things like that, that's why pastors are there and some church officials are there to help you to resolve your difficulties and your problems. Okay, good question anyway. Number 4, don't be subjective in making any conclusions. Yes, you have a question with that? Don't be subjective in making any conclusions. You know, sometimes most of the challenges that I've also realized, these things that create, you know, that some people, maybe it is maybe trust issues, or maybe their past experiences, you know, they have the tendency of being suppositional and drawing quick conclusions and jumping to conclusions and things like that, which is very dangerous. Someone can look at you and, so it's like the woman is always defending herself. Where did you go? Who are you talking to? I saw you, I know you know. It's like, or the man is always permanently, you know, defending himself. I didn't know. You see, please, we have to be, you know, very trusting. You have a question?
No, I was just making a comment that the comment I made earlier, this is where that comes in.
So coming. What comment was it?
Don't argue with a fool.
Yeah, just be silent. That's why I'm talking about stuff like that.
No, but the thing is, silence doesn't answer any question.
But I mean, if you're talking to a fool, they won't understand anyway. So you just gotta.
So who is the fool? Because if you say a fool, you are concluding.
Are you dating a fool?
She's basically saying for a woman that is constantly interrogating her man.
No. For a man that's constantly interrogating a female.
It goes both ways.
Thank you, Miss Julie.
But then if you're quiet, they could also think that means like, you know, yeah.
No, but listen, you see, silence does not solve the problems. Do you understand? You see, you want to have a healthy, thriving, viable, vibrant relationship. That silent, attitude is not going to help. Because let me tell you, some guys, when you keep on being silent like that, they will ignore you. And they would even do worse. Yes, I'm telling you, with time, he will think that you are using silence, that big thing, to manipulate him. So when you are in that mood, he too will not talk to you. Yes, sir.
I got a quick question. How about, because I've experienced this myself, like when you're with a girl and they're like you try to ask them questions like in reference to the relationship, like the problems, and you're trying to fix them, like, hey, why don't you try this? Why can't? And they just stay quiet, period. They don't answer you. They're just like, you know what I mean? I'm like, and then I've done that and it makes me angry where I'm like, I'll be like, man, and I know the Bible says be angry but sin not, so I get angry but I don't sin, but I get really upset and I'm like what am I supposed to what am I supposed to do? Like I get very upset and it's just like continuous and continuous and continuous. Like what do you do in that in that sense when it's like what are you supposed to do?
Thank you. Maybe it's
and I don't go to my mom or nothing like that.
Really?
Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Well, has repented. He's not going to tell the man. Has repented. He's not going to go to man
Anymore?
Really?
Anyway, let me. Anyway, that is a very good question. It's true that some people, but sometimes too, usually a woman will do that when they have a history with you.
Man, oh, that makes sense.
Well,
I'm talking 3 years, but I've been with this girl 3 years, and it's just, man, but it makes me mad. And in the 3 years, I've changed, and I grew up in church and stuff. I'm gonna just put it out there, But I ended up my dad died, and I backslid for a long period of time, got on drugs, alcohol, and in 2009 I went to a Christian home for a year, and then she was with me through all this from the time I changed to now, and it's I'm like, man, I got off drugs, alcohol, I'm, I changed to you, for the better, but it's I just seen, there's things that came out that I could see her, which I didn't see when I was all messed up, because I didn't care, you know what I mean? So it's well, how do I deal with that?
Well, that's what I'm saying, that usually, and I commend her, I don't know her, but I commend her, that is, she deserves an applause. A woman who will stand by a man when he's going through that, that is, brother, that is the woman for you, right? But usually, when she's quiet, there are many reasons. That's why I said that, I think I was right, that maybe because there's a history there. It's a history that sometimes, maybe when she tries to tell you something, you don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes down, and then she's there, she can't leave you, she's hurting inside, she loves you, but you don't listen to her. Mm-hmm. You want to do your own thing, or sometimes you pretend you are listening, but you don't. And then you go, and then you come, you want to talk to her, and she knows that if I tell you what I feel, you will still not listen, so I better not talk at all. Mm-hmm. You see, usually it is like that. When a woman thinks she's not reaching you, because anything that she says, you dismiss it as woman talk, and most guys are like that, that's woman talk, that is what they will do. She will not listen, she will not talk. she'll just let you do whatever you want to say, and then, get along. But also make that the second one is maybe is the way you approach it. If you approach her like maybe you are in a way like lecturing her or something like that, and there's someone who doesn't want to fight or pick a fight, something like that, she'll just keep quiet.
But what about when I already also know it's the case she don't like to be told that? Well, I guess that comes with when you say speaking at them and talking to them, so I guess I just answered my question.
You see, so that is, I think maybe it is the way you approach it.
Right.
If you approach it like in a way, because I told you, the other day I said here that this is what you do. Every now and then, just be open, have this forum, right? Civil forum. You have this civil forum where you let her tell you her feelings, what she feels about you and the relationship. And you don't interrupt her. Initially, if the first time when you ask her, she'll say no, because maybe she thinks you are just setting her up to pick a fight. But you say, I'm honest, I'm sincere, I want to tell me what you see about me and the direction that we are going and things like that. And then she'll start. When she starts and you don't interrupt her, she will tell you so many things, and if you listen, it will be very, very helpful. It will be very, very, very helpful. You see, it is a very true thing. Beside every successful man, there's a woman. And most guys don't know. Women have this natural ability to be visionaries. I know that sometimes, I'm not saying all women are, but sometimes some can get on your nerves, but it's, relation, that is occupational hazard, that sometimes. Maybe, should I call opportunity cost or what? It's opportunity cost, right, Andy? Anyway, so you see that but if you open and you have those civil forums, it helps. She will tell you a number of things that maybe she's there. And women, they don't forget. You have to know that. No woman ever forgets. Their memory bank is
Computer.
I know that.
But that's why they always bring things back. You see? Things that happened 2 years ago, they're trying to bring it back because they don't forget.
because you didn't listen 2 years ago.
And that lead us to an argument.
I think girls just bring stuff up, maybe because they're seeing characteristics come out of you of how you were then, and they're thinking again you're going to repeat yourself. That's why they bring it up. Like, hey,
absolutely,
get scared.
Hey,
absolutely.
Nobody will understand.
Absolutely. I hope when you go home, your roommate will be happy.
Yeah,
Who cooks, you or he?
Man, I eat out. He cooks. I act like a little dog in the kitchen. I'm like,
Then you're like, I think you're going too fast.
I'll go buy some rice. No, he cooks though. Like, but I'm gonna say, whoever ends up being his wife, they better got some cheese, because this guy can eat like 5 bowls of grits and 8 egg sandwiches in one sitting. I ain't lying. He eats like a bodybuilder. He cooks really good though. Real tough.
I have a question.
Well, yes.
What about
Really?
during this civil forum you realize you may not be compatible as you thought you were? What do you do?
Well, I think that is a what is the criteria? What is your litmus gauge?
My what?
Litmus gauge.
I don't like science, Pastor.
Stop.
Okay, listen.
No,
Civil
okay.
forum. What do you mean?
Like,
You
let's
may
just
not
say,
be
like, you're talking. You go to your civil forum and you agree not to get mad, not to talk over each other, and you listen to each other speak. You want me to start stuttering? And then you go your separate ways to think on it, and then you realize things have changed over time. Things have changed. People grow up, people change.
To be honest, this is my take on it. I think, you see, this is my philosophy. The solution to the problem is in the problem. going away to come and solve it, I don't think it will work. In the end, maybe one will say, okay, I'm not going to talk about it, so I'll let you have your own way so that to keep peace. But that is not the way to build a relationship and a strong family. You see? Or you don't wave that thing as a threat. Because, and thank you for the question. You don't wave it, okay, then let's go our separate ways and maybe let's cool off and come back again. If it's always like that, it is like a threat and a manipulative way of having your way, and that is not the best way to do things. I've always said, and even Jesus tells us, he says, if you are bringing your offering to the altar and you have an issue with someone, leave it there and go and resolve it. Jesus is teaching us how to confront the issues. Confrontation, civil confrontation. You see, okay, I'm coming to you, and I've told you to pace it. It's not there and then, let's deal with it. You give yourself time to cool off and to pray about it. Gather yourself, your composure, be in the right frame of mind, get some wisdom how to approach it. You see, and then you gauge his mood at that time, because time heals. So maybe give it about a week or a month that you see that everything, then you bring it up in a different tone. Anyway, Mary Beth, I love you, but what you did is, I know you can't, I wasn't happy, you embarrassed me, you really hurt me. I know you're a better person, you could have done something better, you could have done it better than that. Sit in a civil distance, because hey, you are lovers, you are not enemies. So why go and be shooting arrows and darts at each other? In the end, if you hurt each other, you'll be the one who will be there to nurse yourselves. And you don't want to be leaving scars and wounds on yourselves. You see, friendly fire, you don't need it. So this is what you approach it. This thing, your method, I know many people who maybe have zero tolerance. That is the approach to it. Okay, let's go with this is like Hollywood method. Hey, let's go our separate ways and then later on think about it. No. You deal with it. You don't solve nothing by that approach. But if you confront and you talk, the man will learn to appreciate you better. The woman will learn to appreciate you better. Because after all, it was just handled just between the two of you. Nobody heard anything about it. And everything is under, just between the two of you. You see, by so doing, you grow. You learn to grow. By the time you get married, you'll be surprised. People will even look at you like, because you had the chance to deal with most of your issues that otherwise, if you postpone them, you'll be dealing with them. Because when you get married and your children you don't have time to be solving problems. Most of these things have been resolved before you are dealing with babies and things. So people will even admire the rapport, and in the relationship. So thank you for bringing that in, but I don't think that is the proper approach to it. Any question? So I'm talking about this rush to judgment and sometimes trust issues and sometimes badgering. And usually it is like this. There's a question that came, last week, LA, we had a heated, something over there. There's a guy, a boxer, who came to the meeting first time and he took over the meeting. He was bringing his issues, all right? Women, and the women too were counting, but there are certain issues there, because sometimes some of you may be coming from a relationship that didn't work. So you are coming with your wounds and your hurt feelings and things like that. And then you come and meet somebody, right? And then that is where, you bring your insecurities and your, trust issues and things like that to play. Usually what I say here is this, these things do happen because you have to first and foremost know where you met the person. If you went to the club, right? You met the lady at the club, and then she started manifesting certain things. Then it's up to you to deal with it. Because, number one, you know that as a Christian, the Bible says, do not be unequally yoked. You see, the Christian, dictum is that like must what? Attract like. You are Christian, so you go with a Christian. If you go to the club and you pick somebody there, and then the person is even introduce her boyfriend as my brother, else not my cousin, so and so, because that's the language that they speak over there. But if you are dealing with a Christian, that's a different ballgame altogether. You see? So it minimizes those kind of things, the insecurities and things. But also, sometimes you have to be patient. Because when you start relationship, all sorts of things happen. One may be naive. Maybe you are the first person that person has, gotten a crush on. So you see a lot of what? Naivete over there. Childishness, some babyishness and things like that. But the person may be a good person. You see? Sometimes some of the people can come across as being so possessive, especially the men, and the women so opinionated and domineering. These are some of the manifestations that do come, right? But with time, you have to be able to deal with all those kind of things, right? And know that, hey, you are building something for the future. Why do you even come together? Because you believe in each other. Period. You believe in the man, and the man believes in you. You have ample trust. This is the woman that I believe I can build a future with. And that is why the person is in your life, first and foremost. And also let me tell you this. Our friend was saying here, he has seen this person for 3 years. 3 years, do you know the investment that we made in each other?
A lot.
A lot. You just leave the 3 years and go and pick somebody. You are going to start afresh. You are going to start afresh and then build and build. Sometimes you reach a place you are tired. So the best thing is that you will continue from where you are and keep on building. Because in the end, ultimately, you arrive at the spot of understanding. When you reach at the spot of understanding, because the point is, the woman cannot change the man, and the man cannot change it. God is the one who changes people. But you can influence changes in each other. Let me say this. You have not been called to change anybody. God is the one who changes people. But you can influence or inspire change. By what? By being the model of the change. To be the change, to want to change, be the change. That is the rule. If you want civility in the relationship, be an example of civility. If you want honesty, be an example of honesty. You inspire or influence the change. And it's a Bible law. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 2. When it says that the man, by observing the chaste conduct of the woman, that without complaint will change. So if the man who's having difficulties, you are having difficulties, when he sees that you have truly changed, you will inspire change in him. And it does happen. It's true. Right? It's true. So don't ever turn these sometimes mutual disagreements into cold war, or sometimes you become darkest enemies, and sometimes usually you, please, and listen to me, listen, you, especially the ladies, listen to me. I'm talking to you as your pastor, and I'm not picking on you. Listen to a good advice, and it will help you. I also talk to the men. Watch the way you talk to your men. Are you understanding me? Watch the way you talk and the words that you choose. If you talk to put the man down and to use words that, that are uncivil, be very careful that one day that faithful man dedicated to you will meet somebody who will speak a different language to him. A different language to him. Because all you do is that you don't appreciate him, you keep putting him down, you are this, you are that, you are that. He's making mistakes, you don't encourage him, you keep, and then one day you meet somebody who will just say something nice to him, and you turn around, and if he keeps on going, if you're not careful, that's why most men, their attention starts shifting. It is not because, he doesn't like you, but the way you talk to him. As a marriage counselor, this is what I take by experience. Some of you take things so for granted. Well, it's my distance, so you just say anything at all to him. Respect and speak nice. And the men too, the same. I think the problem with men is that sometimes the Bible says we don't dwell with the women in knowledge. You see, as most men don't want a woman to compare him to another man. That is a taboo. Never compare him with any other man. Women too don't like being compared to anybody else. If you've got a Halle Berry picture on a wall, go and tear it and throw it away. Right? I was in my barber shop, and the funny thing was, there's a guy who, I think there was something was, we were talking about something, and one guy was saying that, I think that there was a guy who wanted to buy something for his woman or something, and he was asking an advice. He was going to buy something, and the guy said, hey man, it was that lady who does something Michaels, who does America's Big Loser or something like that.
Jillian Michaels.
What's her name? Jillian Michaels. She has a DVD, right? So the guy was talking about buying that, or a treadmill or something like that, for the girlfriend's birthday or something. And the guys at the barber shop say, hey, my friend, you don't do that, right? You don't do that. There are some things, and it's true, most guys are clueless. To be honest, they are clueless. You don't do things like that, right? And treat your woman with respect. You see, if you are, make sure you introduce her to people around you, not always, trying to hide her like you are keeping a harem or something like that. Okay. So on this note, it's 9 o'clock, and since we don't have any questions, I've enjoyed the exchanges, and I hope